In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use petting or playing hard to get to motivate your dog to want to listen to you. Normally, I have a dog in the shot. Well, I don't right now because Zoe, a little 1.5-year-old Shih Tzu that I'm here to work with, is outside. And Zoe basically has got her guardian wrapped around her little, I'd say finger, around her little paw digit, because she only eats some treats. She only listens when she feels like it. She just is really obstinate about a lot of things. And the guardian will ask her to do things multiple times. Zoe, sit. Zoe, can you sit for a moment? Zoe, you're such a pretty girl. Can you sit down? So the more that we say it like that and offer the dog food or attempts to earn a pet or whatever it is, it's just like a child. If you have a child that doesn't want to do something and you just beg them, sometimes you create a situation where the child realizes, often accidentally, by not giving mom and dad what they want, I have their attention. I have leverage over mom and dad. By not eating, they're going to offer me an extra book to read at night, or I can stay up later, or an action figure or something. I'm going to get paid by non-compliance. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what I call petting with a purpose, which is a wonder, and I'm going to show you how you can use the enforcement of a rule kind of in a similar philosophy. This is really an offshoot of what we call operant conditioning. So basically what's going to happen is the dog comes over, anything your dog is doing when you pet it is what you're specifically amplifying or rewarding. So if Zoe comes up to me and jumps up on my shin and I reach over and pet her, the conversation we had in dog is I jump up on the human and the human pets me. Jumping up on humans is a good way to ask humans to pet me. And it's also problematic because when a dog jumps up on a human, especially when they come through a door, that can often be a dog's way of saying, you belong to me, I'm claiming you. So not only that, yes, I agree with you, I'm gonna reward you by petting you for doing that. So from now on, when Zoe comes up and jumps up on you like that, or barks or whatever it is, and gives you an order, pet me or request, we're gonna give Zoe a counter order. Tell her to sit. If she's already sitting here, we're gonna ask her to come and sit over here, or ask her to lay down. She's gonna have to do something to change her state. Excuse me.
That's true.
And it should not be shake. Because again, that confuses. If dogs think, if you like this, you must really like this, and I'm going to just do that all the time, and then the dog might think it's claiming you. So what we're going to do is we're going to say one time sit, and we're not going to ask Zoe, can you sit? Zoe jumps up, sit, and I'm going to count my brain. 1, 2, 3. If Zoe's butt is not on the ground by the third second, I'm going to pull out my phone, check an email, watch TV, read an article, get up and go do something else. I want the dog to understand I'm a man of the world. I got all sorts of things going on. I wanted to pet you, but you couldn't be bothered to do something for me. And if she tells me what to do and I do it, then that validates to her, yes, I'm in charge of David. I'm responsible for David and I can correct David, and listening to David is optional. So I'm going to prove to her through my actions that's not the case. So she comes up and jumps up at me, I tell her to sit. If she sits within 3 seconds, I reach down and I pet her under her chin, and I say the word sit and only the word sit. That's Kiwi the cat. Now, when a dog feels good about itself, its nose is parallel to the ground or tilted up. Those of you who've seen your dog run around the house with your shoes or underwear, seen your dog with his nose there, feels really good about himself. Insecure dogs have their nose down. And reaching over a dog's head often creates kind of a cowering and looking down position for most dogs, because we're all about 12 feet tall to a dog. If some 15 or 12 foot tall man came out and put his hand over my head, I kind of duck down and see what's going on. And now it's imitating a little bit of a cowering body mechanic. So you can pet your dog anywhere you want. You just want to avoid reaching over and patting them on the head. If you really want to, you can caress or you can scratch the head, but all things being equal, I prefer you scratch on the chin, but you can scratch the butt or wherever it is as well. So when the dog sits, I pet it on the chin, say the word sit once. I say it once, and I pet it at least once, but I can pet it an infinity number of times. So as long as the dog complies. So the dog does what I want, I'm going to reward and pay it for performance with a pet. If it doesn't, then I'm going to play it hard to get and just go on to other things, and the dog lost out. So after a while, what the dog will realize, when I tell the humans what to do now, nothing happens. Actually, something does happen. They give me a counter order. And if I listen to their counter order, I get rewarded. But if I don't, nothing happens. We're not going to punish the dog, we're not going to chastise it, we're not going to yell at it, we're not going to repeat the command. But your choices are, do what the human wants and get a reward, do something else and nothing happens. eventually the dog's going to start being motivated to do what you want because that gets them the reward they want. And what will happen is the dog will start coming and sitting in front of you to prepay for attention. When it does that, you make sure you go reach over and sit, pet it on its chin, say the word sit or whatever it is, and pet as much or as little as you want at that point. So now we're conditioning the dog that doing a sit or a down in front of a human is a wonderful way to ask for attention. There's a term for this in the dog world. We call it manding or learning to mand, M-A-N-D. And so it means the dog can influence my behavior. So the dog comes up to me and jumps up on me, I might freeze. Dog comes and sits in front of me, I might reach out and pet it. So if the dog wants my attention and it realizes after enough repetition, every time I sit in front of David, he pets me, that's what the dog will start to do. So after a while, your dog will start coming and sitting in front of you, like I said, to prepay for the attention. Now, even if you want to pet the dog and the dog is not asking for attention, I'd still like you to ask the dog to do something. Better yet, tell the dog to do it. So sit, and again, 1, 2, 3. Dog can sit by 3, then you're on to other things. This makes your pets much more valuable because you're not giving them out whether I perform or not. Just like humans, we don't get paid if we don't do our job. So I want you to think of petting your dog as paying your dog. And right now, the dog just doesn't have any motivation to listen to humans because I get paid whether I do my job or not, so I'm going to do what I want. So that's petting with a purpose. There's an offshoot of this called passive training that I often like to do. Passive training is waiting for the dog to organically offer you the behavior you want without any influence from you whatsoever. So every time that, I was going to say Kiwi.
Zoe.
What's
Zoe?
Zoe. I was confusing with the other cat's name. So every time that Zoe comes to you, pet her and say the word come when you didn't ask her to. Every time she sits next to you, pet her and say sit. Every time she lays down, pet her and say crash or chill or down or whatever your command word is for lay down. If she has a toy, name all your individual toys. Every time she brings you a toy, say the name of that toy. Potty training. When she goes out in the middle of when she starts to pee or poop, say the word business or potty or whatever the word is you have for her, but only say that word. Don't say, go make a potty. Can you make a potty for me? No, potty. And say it loud enough where she hears you, but not so loud she's too excited because that will stop her from pottying. When she gets done, show her that you have a treat and reach down and lower it down. She should start running over to you, pop the treat in her mouth and say the word potty. Right now she doesn't because, again, she's just not accustomed to listening to humans. Well, after a while, that becomes a ritual. I go out and I pee, I hear the word potty, then I run up to the stairs to you and you put a treat in my mouth and I hear the potty a second time. So the first time associates the action with the word, second time associates the word with the reward. And after a while, they become synonymous. So for passive training, it's just being observant and waiting for the dog to do anything that you want him to do and rewarding them for doing that. It's kind of the same thing of complimenting your children when they share or make their bed or do things proactively. You make sure you pay attention to those things to motivate the child to want to do that. So after a while, the dog's like, well, wow, if I just come and sit in front of a human now, they pet me. So this is something I'm just going to do for all humans instead of jumping up. And the dog has now changed from a leader's mindset of telling you what to do to asking, and not only asking, but paying for it, and we're paying for it through a currency of obedience. After a while, the dog feels like, I'm going to do these things because that's what gets the attention, and that way we're training the dog to do what we want, not what we don't want. Most of us train our dogs to misbehave, because it starts barking, we go up and correct it. It chews the wrong carpet, we go correct it. It starts dragging our shoes around, we chew it, we tell it to stop. Well, I want your attention. That's my chief goal as a dog. And if sitting and coming and laying down to you, you take for granted and ignore, but boy, as soon as I start barking, you're correcting me. As soon as I start chewing something, you're yelling at me. Well, if my goal is to get your attention, then I'm going to do the wrong things. And this is how many people train their dogs to misbehave or to not listen to them. Now, I talked off camera about some enforcement of rules, and I've summarized this video, or not summarized, but I'm going to finish this video up by talking about the applicational rule that kind of does the same sort of thing what we've been talking about. So Zoe right now is outside. The guardian called her. She didn't want to come. So I said, well, we call her once, we just come inside. And so she lingered outside. The guardian, she was right outside the door, the guardian said, come, and she just sat out there. So we closed the door and left her out there. Now, I don't see her there right now, but we're going to try to go through letting her in the door, and if it doesn't work, I'm just going to pantomime and explain it. But this is one of the rules I suggest to a lot of my clients. I make the dog sit before I open a door for them. Sitting is a more subordinate position. So I go to the door, and you want to do this whatever direction the dog really wants. So she's kind of surprised because she probably wants to be with her guardian. So she's sunbathing right now or doing something. But we go to the door and she really wants inside, start with her outside. Go to the door, open a crack, and say sit as an order. Say it 1 time. If she doesn't sit within 3 seconds, close the door, sit down at your table, which is right by the door, and pull out a magazine and spend 60 seconds reading your magazine. Set a timer or look at your stopwatch and make sure it's only 60 seconds. After 1 minute, go back to the door, open it a crack again, so not enough so she can come in, but enough she can hear you. Sit, and I count 1, 2, 3. If she doesn't sit by the 3rd second, this time I close the door, walk away, sit down nearby. This time I wait 2 minutes. Next time I wait 4 minutes. Then I wait 8 minutes. So each time the dog doesn't do what I want, it doesn't get the reward. Again, the options are do what the human wants to get rewarded, or do anything else and nothing happens. We're not punishing the dog, we're not chastising the dog, but when it does what we want, it gets rewarded. If it doesn't do that, nothing happens. After enough repetition, the dog will start going and sitting at the door as its way of indicating I would like to go outside. We're now conditioning the dog to do it. So I'm going to get up and we're going to go to the door, and I'm going to have the camera follow us. We might have a little bit of lighting issues, so if I get backlit over there, you know what I look like from watching here. Let's see if we can get Zoe to sit at the door. So just kind of follow me. I don't see her out here at all, so let's see. Zoe! Zoe, come! Oh, there she is. Zoe! Come! So she's just looking at me. She's at the fence. She's not moving at all. All right, so she's taking a couple steps. She's taking her sweet time, and then she stops. So I'm going to turn around, and I'm going to go back inside. Now, right there, I offered, I'll have you go there so I'm not backlit. Right there, I asked a couple of times because this is the first time we're doing it. She's not used to it. But eventually, she's like, I'm outside, I already having a good time. I'm doing my own thing. That's fine. Wait for her to come to the door. And when she does come to the door and she barks or pounds on it, then you go to the door, open it a crack, and say, just like I said, sit once. She doesn't sit, I'd like you to pull her out and sit down right here because you're close to the door. I want her to look through the door and be like, look, she's having a great time and I'm stuck out here sweating my paws off. And next time she offers, I better do what she wants so I can come back inside or I can get that reward. I want you to think of this as almost an equation. So the equation, the way we put the formula is the end or the result of the formula is what the dog wants. In order for the dog to achieve that, we're going to put something that we want in front. So the dog, we tell the dog to sit, and if it can't sit, which is the smallest thing a dog can do, then you can't be bothered to open that door. But as soon as I tell you to sit and you do sit, I'm going to fly the door open as fast as I possibly can, and then you get the freedom. After a while, the dog, like I said, will start pro-offering those behaviors to prepay for the attention, or just sit to mand, or sit at the door because that causes the door to open. And after a while, the dog starts to realize I have to listen to my human as opposed to just kind of expecting the human to follow me around and cater to my every whim. Normally, I would say this is Bailey, and this is a video on how you can teach your dog to listen to you and respect you more by withholding and petting with a purpose.